Hello, hello. Okay. This video is going to be sort of, I don't know, maybe a little bit messy because I just wanted to get it out and not mess too much with editing and stuff. So I hope it won't be too rumbly. Anyway, the point of this video is the follow up to the two chimchar that I caught today uh, led me down a rabbit hole of comparisons between those two and the other two chimchar that I caught during the event. And some of you may remember that when I caught the chimchar that had Berry Finding S and Helping Bonus, I I said the day after that when I checked that one and compared it with the other one that I had that was very skill focused, it ended up not as strong as I thought it would. In fact, when I ran the comparison, and mind you, that was a sanitized comparison, let's call it that. Uh, the non berry finding S helping bonus one came on top once it reached level 70 and above, and by quite a margin. So that kind of now I didn't get rid of the very funny guest helping bonus one, but it was interesting. Let's say at the very least it was interesting. Anyway, today I caught two more Chimchar. Both have very finding S. Sadly, no helping bonus. And I was obviously curious to see how they would do compared with the other two. And at first, I ran the same comparison. And you could see that here. Basically, this is my go to, this is my default. Uh, my setup, I'm obviously, let me first say, I'm using Rain on X to run those comparisons. And my setup for comparisons is I I default on having two helping bonuses on a team because I think for me at least that's a fair assessment. I will usually have at least two. In rare occasions, I will have less than that. And as you can see on top, oh no, obviously, uh, all types have favored berry and max area bonus. Not that it matters too much. And if you see next to the helping bonus, there are 4 butterfree. Now, the reason for that is to simulate a team of of 4 other team members that are of the weakest berry type, which is bug type. So I chose Butterfree for that reason. And this is specific for Pokemon who have the skill like Berry Burst. So with that being said, I plugged in those 4 Chimchar. Now I also have, you might see that on the side, on the rightmost side, I have the same Pokemon, but with a mint, and there is a difference. That's why I ran that variant as well, because I wanted to see how much of a difference that mint will have. Now I ran the numbers and looked at how well they would perform under this setup at levels 60, 70, and 80. 60, I feel, is a pretty standard uh, benchmark to set a Pokemon to see how it performs. It might differ between different specialties. For ingredient specialists, you definitely want to check it at level 60 at least, because that's when you unlock all three ingredients. But um overall, it feels to me like level 60 is a good point where I think most of us probably will have our Pokemon around that level for most of the time. You could argue that 50 maybe, but it also depends on how far you are in the game. Obviously, for a new player, level 50, 60, these are very high levels, very difficult to reach. But for older players, most of your Pokemon that you already use are probably level 60, maybe 65. Some of them might already be at 70. So 60, 70 are definitely more viable. I mean, 70 now is a more viable level to look at. And I think 80 is also, I mean, let's not ignore 80. It's not 100 anymore. And even if they release that level 2 years from now, still, it's important to look ahead to know if this is something that you would like to invest in or not. That being said, I ran the numbers, and looking at those different numbers, as you can see, where is that? Level 60. So at level 60, you can see that the two, where is that? Sorry. Okay, let me start over, because you might not know which ones are the new ones or not. So the gentle one, the leftmost, is the first one I caught. This is the most skill focused one. The one next to it, the naughty, is the very finding S helping bonus combo. Then the other two, the hardy and mild, are the ones I caught today. And the rightmost is the same one, the mild one, just with a mint. Level 60, as you can see, is being dominated by the naughty and the mild. If I had to stop here, the naughty would win, because they're practically the same strength, and the helping bonus would elevate the rest of the team. Now, where things start to change is at level 70, because, mind you, the hardy one gets Berry Finding S at level 70. And you can see that at level 70, all of a sudden, the hardy one gets way ahead. Now, to be fair, if I decide to mint the mild one, again, they're practically the same. Would that justify a mint, though, when I can have one without the mint? I don't think so. Also, look how the gentle one suddenly, because it gains speed, all of a sudden, way stronger than the naughty by quite a margin. Almost 30,000 strength. So before I caught the new ones, the two new ones, that's why I said the gentle is better than the naughty. Now, as you can see, both the hardy and the mild, even without the mint, they are much stronger than both the gentle and the naughty. And if we go to level 80, then the picture roughly stays the same. The gentle gets even stronger compared to the naughty one. The hardy and the mild still way ahead, and the hardy is even stronger than the mild, despite the fact that the last sub skill means nothing. It even surpasses the mild one with a mint. Okay, so far it's a pretty cut and dry. It's pretty clear that the hardy one is probably the one to go with. At least, again, when I look at the levels, even if at level 60 the hardy is not the strongest, eventually at level 70 it will be. So might as well invest in something that eventually will be the strongest. We don't want to reinvest, right? Now, that's all nice and dandy. And then I decided, I said, okay, this is a sanitized comparison. How do they actually perform on a team or in a team? And that's what I did. So basically, I took the team that I was running this week, and I created two setups. So this is the team. Originally, the empty space is where I have my Golduck, and I swapped it out and inserted each Infernape at those three levels, 60, 70, and 80, and looked at the overall output. So, and I had two setups. One setup is, as you can see, I'm on expert mode, Greengrass expert mode this week. This is my area bonus. This is the dish I'm making. And it's important to say the salad that I'm making is not using any of the ingredients that Infernape uses. That's important because it might affect the strength of that Pokemon if its ingredients are being used for that dish. So the ingredients have no effect, and the bonus for cooking also doesn't affect, or isn't being affected by Infernape in that case. So it's neutral. And the berries in this case, none of them are favored berries because water, normal, and ground, none of my Pokemon, including Infernape, which is fighting, has a favorite berry. So that's one option. And the other variation of that same team was, okay, let's see what are the numbers if all of them have favorite berries in an odd situation. And for that I chose Greengrass, just basic Greengrass. Again, it doesn't really matter. What matters is the area bonus, I guess. Although you could argue that also shouldn't really matter. But I just wanted to see. Anyway, so this is basic Greengrass, max area bonus, all favorite berries. Now, the one thing is, I am using a good camp ticket. It shouldn't matter, again, because the bonus applies to all of them equally. And I'm not here, nor in the comparisons screen, I'm not using infinite energy. So I'm relying on what Cresselia can produce. with that, when I actually put in the different Infernape, I received results that actually differed from what I expected. And you can see them here. So I created these two small tables. The first one is for the first scenario, Greengrass Expert Mode, 15% area bonus, no favorite berries. And the second one is the other situation. And you can see the names and the levels. I marked in green the highest performing Infernape, and in red, the lowest performing Infernape. Now, mind you, the numbers here, what they mean, just for simplicity's sake, the numbers here are in the thousands. So, for example, if we look at the first number, gentle at level 60, produces in that team, as part of that team, on Greengrass Expert Mode, produces 3,031,000 strength overall over the entire week. So that's how you should read this. 3 million. This is treat that as millions. Yeah. Anyway, remember how I said that the gentle one, the one without the helping bonus and berry finding S, is stronger? Because that's what we saw in the comparison screen, at least compared to the naughty one. Interestingly enough, that is not the case when you run that in a team. That helping bonus actually had much more impact on the overall strength. And you can see that because at level 60, in both situations, both Greengrass Expert Mode and Basic Greengrass, the gentle one actually came the weakest, and the naughty one came the strongest, which surprised me, at least in part, because, to be fair, I knew, based on the comparisons, I knew that at level 60, the naughty would be stronger. But what I was not expecting to see is that, in fact, the gentle would almost always, except one time where it's not the weakest, but the second weakest, it's almost always the weakest option, despite being so heavily focused on skills, which is, you thought that would be the best scenario for a skill specialist like Infernape. But no. In fact, as you can see, the berry finding on its own is very strong. To the point where the berry finding S really does a lot of heavy lifting. And as you can see, after plugging the numbers, the hardy one, yes, eventually the hardy one is the strongest at level 80. In both cases, it's the strongest one. The gentle is the weakest one. I was not expecting that. Now, the mild, you could argue, no, this is the mild with the mint. I still don't think it's worth minting. I think it's a waste, especially when you look at the difference between the hardy and the mild without the mint. They are very close, and without the mint, the hardy is way stronger. Not at level 60. At level 60, the mild is marginally stronger. And this is really, we are talking about a, a 10 a 10,000 difference overall over the entire week. That's nothing. But at levels 70 and 80, you can see there is a gap in favor of the hardy one. So, looking at this, the hardy does seem like the best choice, which, if I'm not mistaken, that was the conclusion also by looking at the comparisons. But it is important, at least for me, it is important to note how, unlike my first impression that the gentle one is stronger than the naughty one, in fact, that's not the case. The gentle is weaker than naughty. What I'm trying to say, also, just if you're curious about what, in my opinion, would be the best case scenario for an Infernape, stat wise, this is it. This is what I would consider the best stats for Infernape. And as you can see, even the nature is not skill focused. Speed is the number one thing you want. The more speed you have on Infernape, the better it would perform. So treat it exactly as you would a berry specialist. Yeah. So, and that's because it's a fast Pokemon. If it was a slow Pokemon, things would have looked different. Anyway, the bottom line is, no matter what you think, when you run the comparisons in a sanitized situation, in a vacuum, you might not actually see the results, the true results, or the true strength. If you are not sure, and even if you think you are, double check before you decide to invest. Double check on a real team to see who is actually better. And the other takeaway is, and this might not surprise some of you, but yeah, helping bonus is insane. Helping bonus is indeed that strong. And I think this this proves it. Like, just look at the numbers. It's crazy. What's surprising though, when I look at, again, at the best and worst tables that I created, interestingly enough, and I'm not exactly sure why, but at level 70, the naughty does fall short just by a little bit. I guess because the naughty doesn't get anything really that really affects it at level 70, and the gentle one gets speed M. Anyway, this is nitpicky. So I just wanted to show you this. If you are not sure, or before you decide to invest in something, if you have several options, I highly recommend go to the team building screen, build a team, and check your options at different levels. Now, I will say, not that I think that it would matter, but when I compared these, the only thing I changed, I didn't touch the other Pokemon's levels. They stayed the same. I just changed the levels of the Infernape. Yeah, so that's basically it. I just wanted to share, and I hope that might help some of you. And that's it. So till next time, have a good one.